welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm your host, Dr. David Hooper, and today it's all about work-life balance and finding a life that you are feeling so fulfilled and satisfied in. And I have my two little guests with me. I have Luna in the corner there and Arwen, who is about to kick off because she wants to go out, but she can't go out until I've recorded the podcast. And she's not pleased about that at all. So I'm sure they will both make an appearance at some point. So a little bit of a pre-warning there. How's your week been going? How is June going? This is episode number 43, and we are progressing towards our goal of 100. 50 is, just around the corner, and it's crazy exciting. And thank you so much for everybody who's been tuning in and supporting the show. And thank you to my amazing guests as well who've come on. But we are not close to being done with this podcast. It's just the beginning. And I'm loving doing it. And before we get too far into the show, I do have a couple of updates. So I think I've mentioned on the show before that I've struggled with anxiety and panic attacks. And, there was one time back in 2023 where I was on a 12-mile run, and for the first 6 miles I cried the entire way round, and that was a brand new feeling. And that was one of the moments where I thought, I need to sort this stuff out. I need to really understand what is going on with me, because anxiety is a new thing that is a new thing in terms of my life. I've had mental health issues in the past with depression. And, I do get stressed quite easily, and I'm a pretty anxious guy in general. But in terms of just feeling and being in that anxiety bubble and panic attacks, which were crippling at times, were, really quite shocking to me. And that made me to do a couple of changes. So the first thing, I've been off caffeine for 12 weeks now. I've just been having decaffeinated coffee. I have had the odd Diet Coke and Coke Zero, that type of thing, but there isn't too much caffeine in there. So essentially no caffeine for 12 weeks. And it has been brilliant. I don't feel like I am as anxious, which is obviously the main target for doing that. I do miss the buzz of caffeine. When you'd have a Monster or a Red Bull or a coffee or an espresso, that type of thing, and you'd feel buzzing. You'd get that peak. I'm not getting that, but I'm able to get on with my day a lot better. So, I've been sleeping a lot better, and I've been getting to sleep a lot better and waking up less during the night, and waking up in the morning feeling much more refreshed. So that's obviously something that's been really, really good. The second thing I've done to try and deal with my anxiety is going in the ice bath. Now, I had a great conversation with a good friend of mine, Rob Sanders, who is going to be a guest on the show any day now. So I'm so excited for that. But he recommended getting an ice bath, and that would help my anxiety because he used it really effectively in his pursuit of a career in the fire service. And I kind of ordered this ice bath, and it came in April. And because of a couple of things, Laura's exams, us going on holiday, me trying to keep on top of work, the business, podcast, trying to lose some weight, blah, 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 excuses. We didn't get the ice bath put up until we got back from holiday. And it's been up for 2 weeks now. And I've been in the cold plunge every morning for 2 weeks. And it's been brilliant. And I absolutely adore it. And it's one thing that has been, noticeable when it comes to my mental health since going in the ice bath. And it isn't for ego, definitely not. It isn't to shout to the world and say, look how tough I am. To be honest, it isn't even the physical benefits in terms of muscle recovery and, that type of thing. It's more so I have control of my mind and my brain, my crazy brain, and I am developing discipline and focus and concentration and consistency by getting in the ice bath for 5 minutes every day. And I dunk my head twice in it as well. And it's been superb. And it's, if you haven't done that before and you struggle with anxiety, it might be something that you want to look into. I think it was about 100 quid, 100, I'm not 100% sure, 100, 150 quid, something like that. I got a Lumi one, and it's excellent. Yeah, I'm really, really pleased with it. And they were excellent as well. So it came and there was actually a damaged part to it. There's like this protective lid that goes under the main cover, and it had a big slice in it. And we got in touch and they sent a replacement immediately. They were excellent. So yeah, I've been doing things. I've been trying to become the most unstoppable version of myself, really. So I've been working on getting up earlier and being consistent. Something that I've never quite mastered is getting up every day at the same time. It's either I've done it on the weekdays and then had lie-ins on the weekends, or it's just been all over the shop. So I've been getting up at 5:15 a.m. I've then been making my decaf coffee and a litre of fluids. I've then gone in the ice bath for 5 minutes. I've then come out, got dried, tried to warm up, had my hot coffee, journaled, and then gone in to do my workout after that. So by 6:45, 7 o'clock, I'm all done. I've journaled, I've ice bathed, I've drank my coffee, my decaf, that is. I've had my fluids. I'm in a really good headspace, and I feel like I'm in control, which is one of the main things that I am anxious about. My whole anxiety comes to being in a situation where I don't want to be, and I'm panicked in terms of not achieving what I think I should be achieving. I've got these huge goals and I'm really harsh on myself, but I am able to feel like I am in control now, and trying to stay calm and trying to be kind to myself as well. And I'm also taking some massive action when it comes to professional things that are going on, which I will be telling you all about in the near future, I'm sure, because life is going to change for me in the next 8 weeks, that's for sure. But I'll leave you on tender hooks for now as we get into today's session. So I hope you're crushing it. I hope June's going well. If it's not, there's still plenty of time for you to crush 2024. And this session is definitely going to help. So I think one of the topics that comes up a lot, especially when I'm coaching people, is work-life balance. And no one ever seems to get it quite right. And I'm going to give you the punchline straight away. It's because it doesn't exist. Having balance in your life is incredibly difficult to achieve. There's always things that happen, things you don't expect, slight changes, and the scales will wobble. Sometimes you'll have to spend more time at work. Sometimes you might spend more time at home. And it's all about how you're able to deal with that and organize your life in a way that you feel fulfilled and you feel like you are being your best self, both at work, professionally, and you're delivering for yourself, your team, your business, your colleagues, but also when you go home, you're turning up and being the best parent, you're being the best partner, you're being the best son or daughter, you're being the best in-law you can be, whatever this is in your life. And that is what we're striving for here. It isn't about work-life balance. It's about you acknowledging that this is always going to be an organic process that moves and grows and changes and develops, and then it flips on its head and all these different things. And it's really a case of acknowledging that and giving yourself a break, but also, like I say, putting in these frameworks, these tips, these strategies to make sure that you are your best self in these different situations that you find yourself in. But let's get into this then. So have you ever wondered why so many of us aspire to have that perfect work-life balance. Yet barely anyone actually achieves it. There was a study that Tony Robbins highlighted that said while 53% of people believe they don't need to sacrifice their personal lives to get ahead of work, only 17% feel they've nailed the balance, which is, it's not many people at all, is it? And I think that there is this hustle culture that exists. There is some really influential people, like, let's say, Elon Musk, who says you need to be working 80 to 100 hours a week if you want to get ahead. And, one of the people I really look up to and admire, Gary Vaynerchuk, has this great saying that I love, that he says, you have to work your face off to, get to where you want to be. And that obviously means that when you hear these crazy successful people talking who've built businesses are worth hundreds and hundreds of millions and have done all these incredible things and maybe are people you are aspiring to be like, when you hear what they suggest, you probably think work-life balance seems pretty unattainable. But the truth is, and this was one of my big realizations back in 2017, what if work-life balance isn't real? What if there's something else that exists? And the phrase that I've used ever since I heard Tony Robbins use it is work-life integration. And what that means is, instead of balancing all of those different things, you are incorporating all of them together in one big mushed up ball. So let's break that down. Work-life integration means your work isn't a burden. It is something that fuels you and you love. It's your mission, it's your passion, it gives you purpose, you feel fulfilled. Imagine returning home from a productive day at work and you still have high levels of energy for your friends and your family and your hobbies and passions and side hustles and all the things you might want to do. And the great news is for you who are listening to this is completely possible, especially when you start to integrate your work with your life seamlessly, and it all becomes this process, it's all joined together and working as one. And what that means is, instead of having these separate areas of your life that you are trying to balance, they're all mixed together and they complement each other rather than competing with each other. So the first thing we need to do here is accept that work-life balance as we know it just simply does not exist. The term itself suggests that work and life are two separate entities that we're having to bob in and out of. We have to juggle them. We have to keep those different plates spinning. But you know the old story about that person who has multiple plates spinning. What happens? Eventually, they forget about one plate, it drops and smashes on the floor. Then they drop another one. But in reality, all of your tasks and your activities and your commitments are interconnected. Jeff Bezos had this great perspective in that he believed that being happy and energized at work made him better at home and vice versa. So one thing to think about is that life is this continuous cycle rather than a balancing act. Someone who is a really successful entrepreneur and a mother, Jenna Kutcher, I'm sure you've heard of her. If not, just jump into Google and check her out. Also talks about work-life integration in a really interesting way. She mentions that balance is never perfect, because the thing about balance, it's not static. It dips in and out from side to side. There will always be times when you need to prioritize different aspects of your life. That's just how life works. You might have a big, 10-year plan, and then you might have a 5-year plan. You might have a 10-year plan, and then you might have a 20-year plan. You might have a 30-year plan. You might have a 40-year plan. You might have a 50-year plan. You might have a 60-year plan. You might have a 70-year plan. You might have a 80-year plan. You might have a 90-year plan. You might have a 100-year plan. You might have a 200-year plan. You might have a 300-year plan. You might have a 400-year plan. You might have a 500-year plan. You might have a 600-year plan. You might have a 700-year plan. You might have a 800-year plan. You might have a 900-year plan. You might have a 1000-year plan. You might have a 1,000-year 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 presentation coming up at work. You might have a big job interview coming up. You might be preparing for your anniversary or your kid's birthday. You know, different things take priorities at different times. So instead of striving for that perfect alignment, appreciate the ebb and flow of life and make the most of each moment. But how do we actually go about doing this? The first part is, what is your mission? And the survey that I talked about at the start said that 93% of business owners love their roles despite the lack of balance. And we asked that question, why is that? Because their work aligns with their mission. When your work is part of your life's purpose, it energizes you. Again, Jeff Bezos has a great quote. He really succinctly says, it's not about the hours you work, but whether your work generates or drains your energy. That's the thing that you need to really have a little reflect on. Because if it drains your energy, obviously when you get home, you're going to want to just fall into that armchair, eat a bunch of crap comfort food, watch TV, probably not give your kids or your partner the attention they're probably hoping for. You know, one of my things that I realized early on when I was in a job that I hated was, and it was just near the time that we'd got Luna and Arwen, and I remember coming home in a foul mood, like grumpy and exhausted and drained. And I didn't acknowledge them, like barely, you know, I might have said, hiya, you know, stroke their heads, that type of thing. When they brought toys and they were wagging and they were so excited to see me. And I remember I went upstairs and just collapsed. And I realized that I was missing out on having that amazing time with my girls because I was allowing the role that I was in to drain me. And from that day, I've never, ever missed an opportunity to play with the girls, to, you know, get their toys, to walk them. It is not even a consideration now, partly because they're a huge part of my life and incredibly important to me. And it gives me energy playing with them rather than draining my energy. But also I changed my role and my passion and my purpose. And that started to help as well. So don't miss the time with your kids or your animals. They won't either be here that long or they will grow up incredibly quickly. So this is an urgent thing you need to address, because I would hate for you to get a little bit older, to find your work-life integration in a better spot and regret missing that time playing with your kids when they wanted to, or going and playing football in the garden, or going playing catch, or playing Barbie dolls, or, you know, playing with the dog or the cat or whoever you've got at home. And that did genuinely change my life, my feelings and my happiness and the feeling of fulfillment at the end of each day, because I know that they love playing and they love that time with me as well. And to think that I just walked past them once or twice, didn't give them that attention, breaks my heart. And I know that I'll never do that again. And the girls are both 6, and that has not happened since that first kind of time I ever did that. So yeah, it's a bit of a wake up call, isn't it? You think, oh bloody hell, you know, I want to live my life in a certain way, and I need to start doing it. The next part, and this is where it gets a little bit messy, is to integrate your mission with your life and involve your family and your friends. For example, if your mission includes giving back to the community, engage your family in volunteer activities, you know, take them along. If financial freedom's your goal, teach your children about saving and investing from an early age. And Tony Robbins says, when your family is part of your mission, you move together in the same direction. And this is something that Laura and I think have really nailed. So in the early parts of our relationship, we didn't, while I was doing my PhD, I would go off to the library for days at a time. And I quite often would go and do like after work, 6 p.m. till 4 in the morning, that type of crazy stuff, really. But what we found was we grew apart a little bit because I was spending so much time away from her. We were at work, obviously, and then I'd go and do my PhD. And what we managed to do then is how could we integrate these long periods of study that I was doing and that Laura would end up doing with her accountancy qualifications? How could we make this more sustainable? All we did was we started going to the library together. We identified the days. It was going to be a Tuesday night, a Thursday night, and all day Sunday. And while I was doing my PhD, she would be doing her accountancy qualifications. And now I've finished my PhD, a few years ago. I've built businesses. I've built this podcast. And we're together and we are grinding together. And, Laura and I have actually talked about how hard it is going to the library, after work and staying there for a while, or sacrificing literally hundreds of weekend days when we could have been doing other fun things because of, we're working towards these qualifications or big goals. But Laura and I also have said that some of these times will be our favorite to look back on because we are working towards our mission, our goal, our joint purpose, and that we're going to create an incredible life for us, that we're going to create changes for generations to come in our world. So, I think that's really interesting because there was only a small change. Suddenly that work-life balance is integrated. So just as an example, I was doing the work-life balance thing by balancing PhD studies, balancing work, balancing my relationship. But now it's work-life integration. Laura comes with me to the library, and I go with her. We drive together to work. We spend different parts of the day together. So yeah, that's hopefully an overview of how I've kind of used this, and it's been a huge change. And you can go a step further. Things like booking in workouts together, walking the dog together, and what we do a lot is do our strategy meetings while we're doing these other things. So while we're working out or while we're walking the dog, definitely we're doing our reflection. We're talking about our goals for the year. We're talking about our finances. We're thinking about the different opportunities that are ahead for us. So suddenly our life is this big ball of integration because we're talking about the things we need to talk about. We're together. We're aligned. And that's where we're at. So, and then when you finish that dog walk, you're like, okay, like I had a lovely walk, lovely time, and we've been really on it with our goal setting and planning and things like that. So yeah, I think it's a really cool thing that might help you. So yeah, just to reinforce that message, when your family is part of your mission, you move together in the same direction. I think that is so, so true. And then lastly, the last point I want to make is changing your focus. Once you're clear about your vision, take consistent steps towards it. Set those small, achievable goals that contribute to your overall mission and include your personal life in this journey, whether it's spending quality time with your family, volunteering, or learning new skills or pursuing hobbies. Make it all of your integrated plan. And that's going to really allow you to feel fulfilled at the end of your day. When you've incorporated your personal life, professional life, everything you're trying to do, and aligned it with those in your family or those in your world, then, like I say, you're going to arrive at the end of every day feeling so amazing. And, I can't really emphasize that enough. The other thing to think about is your mindset throughout this whole process, because managing your state of mind is truly crucial too. It's hard to feel balanced if you're constantly stressed or agitated or anxious. And practices like gratitude journals or visualizing your goals can help you really keep your focus positive and really productive. Remember, a clear vision and a positive mindset can significantly impact how seamlessly you integrate work and life. And my journal's literally here for those who are watching on YouTube. Try there. I like to do the journaling on hard copy. It's just something different about writing in a journal on a pad, I think. And if you can get into those habits, then this becomes a whole lot easier. And I then attach those habits to a process and like a trigger or a schedule almost. So when it comes to my morning routine and when it comes to incorporating Laura into my morning routine, I'll talk you through what our day looks like. So Laura doesn't do the ice baths or the journaling at the moment. She does the workouts though. So this is what our morning looks like. So I get up at 5:15. I go downstairs. I make us both a coffee for Laura, decaf for me, and 2 big juices. I take Laura's upstairs and put them on her nightstand, and she sleeps for another 20-25 minutes. I go downstairs and I try to get in the ice bath by 5:30. I'm in there for 5 minutes, dunk my head twice, come back in, dry myself off. I'm in the office by about 20 to 6. I then have my decaf coffee and my juice, and I write in my journal, and that takes us to about 6 o'clock. And about at 6 a.m., Laura meets me in our gym, and we do a workout together, and that takes us to about 6:40, 6:45. Laura then goes in the shower. I take the dog for a walk. We come back. Laura makes our day's food. I go in the shower, and by 7:15, we're ready to leave for work. And just by being aligned to our purpose of being healthier, being fitter, being more organized, being people who are really high performing, it means that car drive to work, it's buzzing. We're talking about things, we're feeling great, we're excited for life. And that all just starts with firstly viewing on a macro scale life as work-life integration rather than balancing parts where we're kind of included in everything. And then it's about drilling down to those daily habits, those schedules that you have, those systems to keep you focused on what you're doing, how you're doing it, and you're going to really feel productive at the end of your day, but also really fulfilled as well, which is a great intention to have. And that's something I'm learning, that's for sure. So there you have it. I hope this has been useful. I hope that you've enjoyed hearing about this new approach to work-life balance. It's all about the work-life integration. So forget about that work-life balance, embrace work-life integration, and by aligning your work with your life's mission and maintaining a positive focus, you can create a fulfilling, energizing, and integrated life. And just as a little recap, remember, we need to first accept that work-life balance does not exist. Get your activities out of their separate boxes, those different commitments that you have, they're all in the same box. And instead of trying to balance them and juggle them and spin the different plates, they're all together and you're going to just look after them as one big ball. The second thing is think about your mission. Think about what you want to achieve in this world. Are you loving how you're spending your days at work? Is it time to move on? Is it time to leave? Is it time to try and get promoted? Is it time to change career? Is it time to start that business, do that extra qualification, pivot and go in a different direction, you always have time. If you are arriving home feeling drained and tired and grumpy and anxious and stressed, they are red flags in that you are not aligned to your mission and your purpose in your true life's calling. So it might be time for you to make a change. And when you make those changes and you align everything with your mission, then you are going to feel incredibly fulfilled. I can assure you of that. And then lastly, change that focus. Make sure that you have that vision, that you are taking the steps forward towards that vision every single day, and that you are achieving your dreams by making some small changes, small goals, and you are using those goals as a catapult to go and achieve the great things that I know that you are going to go and achieve. Thank you so much for watching. We are creeping up to 40, well, this is episode 43, and we are going for 100 in 2024. If you know anybody who wants to be a guest, I'm open to people reaching out to me. I'd love to hear from you. Or if you've got any questions about being an introvert or being a high-performing introvert, just drop me a message. You can contact me on all social medias at Dr. David Hooper. And of course, find us on YouTube, again, at Dr. David Hooper. And you can find us on Spotify, the Unstoppable Introvert Project. And remember, your introversion is not a limitation. It's not a weakness. It is not holding you back. When you embrace it and learn how to use your introversion, it is the thing that is going to catapult you towards greatness and the greatest version of yourself. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, stay unstoppable.